So, man, cut it out.
So we're sitting here with one of the great masters of our music. He really, for me, personifies the truth of what this music is. He's one of the greatest living jazz pianists that we have, and we're so glad that he's given us some of his time in between his set at Dizzy's, the great Cedar Walton.
Thank you, sir.
We're glad to have you here. Thank you for giving us your time.
Oh, you got to pay me.
So what we wanted,
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you was, your mother Ruth,
yeah,
dear Ruth, she, I believe, was a pianist too.
Yes.
Right.
I was a pianist too. She was. She was a pianist.
Was she a classical pianist?
Yeah, everybody's a classical pianist. In those days, in the 40s, 50s, it's automatic classical. Nowadays, I think you might can approach it just with jazz. I'm not sure.
You can a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you told me, because I just remember my own story.
And how much of an influence was she, you know, to you?
Oh, big time. Yeah, she's a big jazz fan. She used to take me to concerts, and I saw the likes of Hank Jones. I said, wow, I'd like to be like that. She said, well, yeah, they don't have any music up there, but they can read, son, so you got to get yourself together. So that was a good piece of advice. So
she would escort you to gigs when you were coming out to
well, not so much that, the gigs. I'm talking about the concerts to see my elders.
To see your elders.
Yeah, to gigs, no. Used to work right across the street from her. She could sit on the porch and see the doors opening and closing. Yeah, so not gigs so much. I'm glad you asked that, so we could clear that up. But I didn't have that many gigs, but I did work across the street at a tavern that had music. So, but I mean, the gentlemen who I worked with were pretty much older than me, so she told them look out for me.
Okay.
I would get in the car with them. She didn't worry. Yeah. So it was a nice time for me to just a world full of learning. You know, yeah.
And Dallas, Texas is where you're from. People like Red Garland and Fathead are from there.
Right.
What did you get to be around them when you were younger?
Yeah, but especially Fathead. I didn't see Red so much until I got in this direction. He was with Miles Davis, and we met. And but Fathead was just about a grade in front of me. Yeah. In high school, so we saw each other a lot.
And later on, you studied at the University of Denver.
I did, yeah.
Right. What did you study there?
I studied music education, preparing to be a school teacher.
Oh, so you were thinking of going to be an educator?
Yeah, just because I didn't really want to down deep, but that was an easy way to be in the music studies, and you know, and knowing you had an escape route.
Okay.
Yeah, so but I mean, so that included practice teaching, they called it. You go to a real school, real classroom. That really convinced me. I didn't want to do it, but I mean, I knew I'd have a chance. I felt that I would take my chances in the profession.
And when do you think, for you, at what age did you know that you wanted to be a jazz musician, and you wanted to do this for almost the rest of your life?
Well, it came and went. But at a very early age, right, 12, 13, and then might have switched back to normal life without fantasizing about that, then went back, and then, you know, those kinds of things. But when I came to New York, that was a trip, a long drive from Denver. Me and my friend, we had about $70 each, and my vehicle. So we got here, man, and the fumes from these trucks and things around here, boy, I broke out in hives. You know, I said, wow, what is this? And no parking. We couldn't find any place to park. Man. I said, my God. So we ended up looking for hours, and we ended up in the Bronx. We had to park in the Bronx, even though we were staying down in Midtown.
Okay. And what year did you, 1955? When you came to New York. And which people did you start playing with in that period, 55, 56?
Well, some of them, you know, some of the people at that time, I don't remember their names, but they were definitely local players. Okay. Yeah, so I don't remember their names, but let me see, one of the first people that I remember would be Steve Pullum, which is a guy who played trombone and worked a lot in Harlem at a place named the 125 Club, right on 125th Street in St. Nicholas. So, And diagonal from that was a place named the Baby Grand, which was pretty famous.
So Shab told me about it. Yeah. At that time, were you living? Ronnie Matthews' mother at Brooklyn, or was?
Could have been, yeah.
Okay.
Stayed at several pianists whose parents had big brownstones.
Okay. And Ronnie Matthews was one of those.
Yeah.
His mother
rented out a room.
Okay.
His mother and father.
Okay. And that would have been in Brooklyn?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
I'm still in Brooklyn.
Okay, all right. And then your first recording debut, I believe, is with the great Kenny Dorham.
Yes.
Kenny Dorham Sings.
Exactly. You've done your homework.
Oh, yeah, of course. And what was it for you to be at that age to be playing with a monster like that who would play with Bird and was coming out of a generation before?
Well, he was so friendly, man. It was just so comfortable being around him. It might have been something else with somebody else, but with him, he was just like a big brother, just really warm, totally knowledgeable individual. Especially if you play trumpet with Charlie Parker, you got to be pretty shrewd. And he was no exception.
And of course, he sang on that album. I remember you telling me once, I can't remember where you said it, that he was really serious about singing, that someone had told him to carry sugar or something on his...
Yeah, 5 pounds, equivalent of a 5-pound sugar bags to strengthen his vocal cords.
Wow.
That was his vocal teacher told him
Wow.
about that. Which was in a not too far proximity of my residence, so he would stop by, and that's how I found out.
Wonderful. And after that, you, of course, you had a long tenure with the great Art Blakey. I think the first recording I found that you played with him was a Wayne Shorter album called Second Genesis, which is before you joined the Jazz Messengers.
Was Art on that too?
Yeah, he's on that. What do you remember about your first meeting with the great Bohemian, or first time you played with him?
Well,
or your first meeting that you
my first meeting was at a place I was playing at that had 2 rooms, the room where I played, and then the room, a doorway, and then you go out, so there was a bar out there. And people like Thelonious Monk, Art Blakey, Walter Bishop Jr., many artists would hang out there because it was kind of a jazz room in Harlem. So that's where I met him. He said, well, Cedar, I was going in the Army by this time. They had the draft here.
Oh, okay.
So he said, well, call me in the morning. I'll show you how to get out of the Army. But when I called, he was not answering. So I was glad I went in the Army, as I look back.
And that was in Germany?
Well, I mean, not right away.
No, right away.
It was Fort Dix is in New Jersey, right near here.
Okay.
And 6 months of that, and then 18 months in Germany.
And there were other musicians who were stationed with you there, right? Eddie
Yeah,
Harris,
right. We gathered quite a gathering of talent, including Eddie Harris, the late Don Ellis. Those are the 2 main ones that I remember.
And when did you finally get the call to join the Jazz Messengers when you came back to New York?
I was in Chicago at a theater playing with the Jazz Chet, which was Art Farmer, and Benny Golson, and Art called. In between shows, he says, a phone call for you, Cedar. It was him. He said, you ready? So I said, is Freddie coming? He said, yeah. So that was it.
You, to me, are one of the most individual stylists, you know, of the piano in our music, and have been, and one of our great composers. How did you feel that you developed your style? You have a certain way of playing with dominance, and how you use the harmony. You play very inside chords, and they're very open. Who are the people you listen to that you try and develop your style?
The list is long, you know, starting with Tatum, very, very long list.
Of course, you'd have to name it, just the main people.
I'm not going to name them.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you, everybody who plays that you can hear on the radio, I listen to.
I hear what you
So, I mean, it's just a potpourri of great talent in this country. Outside of this country, a few, but mostly here.
And your style of composition, which is, again, to me, you're one of the great composers of our music. And, I mean, there's 2 musicians all over who play jazz today. At one point of their career, they have to deal with Cedar Walton's music.
Oh, they do?
That's
interesting.
Is that something were you always
trying
to compose?
I'm not aware of it. I mean, I'm anticipating my answer. It's nothing you're conscious of. When you tell me that, I process it and I believe you, but I'm not aware of it in the sense that
I'm telling you.
you're asking me to describe. It's just something that happens. I'm still not aware of it. I just function, best I can. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's nothing that you plan. I mean, maybe you do, but I'm not aware of it.
Not aware of it.
Yeah. Good question, but I mean, it has no answer if you're depending on me. Yeah.
I mean, it's you have a tune like Head and Shoulders and Bridge Work. They have a certain way that they flow harmonically, and it's your style.
Thank you very
and
much.
It's also the way you play. And again, like I say, the way when you play, how you reharmonize that is, like when you do something without a song or something, how you play with the dominance and stuff like that. It's a certain way that your music is like that, and it's incredible that it's something that is just naturally you bred. It wasn't something.
Yeah, I do tend to try to present a piece, especially if it's not my piece, in a way that is special. And that's a deliberate thing that I try to do. I have nothing to hide in terms of my treatment of pieces, standards. Just I really try to make sure that it's enjoyable to do and enjoyable to listen to.
It is. Well, it is definitely for us. Again, another level that we aspire to is that you also were a member of one of the greatest rhythm sections in the music. You have Miles Davis, you have Art Blakey, but you also were in a trio with the great Sam Jones and Billy Higgins, which again is something that musicians listen to and we are like, wow.
Oh, that's good.
When did you first meet those two gentlemen?
Well, there were separate occasions. Sam got tired of being with famous people such as Cannonball and Oscar Peterson first. Cannonball and Nancy Wilson. There was a period there he was with those. He just got tired of it and came home, and we were always friends from that place I just described, 125 Club, those days.
Okay.
And he said, he looked me up, and we resumed our friendship. He seemed relieved from escaping the pressures of the really famous big time.
Of course.
He was with Thelonious Monk.
Yes, he was.
So he had a great career.
Yeah.
I guess I'm very lucky because I know, to quote Norman Simmons, somebody told me, he said, Cedar just lucky, he's got Sam Jones with him. I said, oh, I guess I am. So I wasn't aware of it in that sense.
Yeah.
We were just buddies musically.
Okay.
And then we ran into Billy. They fell in love, so nothing I could do with that, about that.
Yeah. Well,
and they both liked me. We all liked each other, and so my treatment of pieces they fell right in with. So it was just something that I'll never forget. And we got it on records, right?
You got it on Eastern Rebellion, Live at Boomers. There's some amazing music out there. Another thing I wanted to ask you was that, because this is also for our Essentially Ellington program they do, so for people can check it out. You were lucky enough to be around Duke Ellington. Yeah,
I met him at Fort Dix over here in New Jersey, not too far from New York, but probably not even 90 miles, just say 40, 50 miles from here. And he played on the bass one day in a gymnasium style place. No people, just I guess he didn't like to be off. So he played, and I was there, so I said, well, Mr. Ellington, you think if I could play a song? He said, yes, of course. Go easy on those keys, young man. So that was a nice experience. I'll always remember that. He was a great, friendly guy. And then when I finished, he said, I thought I told you to go easy. He was very, very warm, supportive. And I had met him in Dallas, too, when those kind of people came to town. There was a lady around the corner, Mrs. Dixon, who could cook so good, and Duke had a list.
Yeah?
Yeah, he would call her when he got to Oklahoma, heading toward Dallas, give her a list of his menu. So I was an admirer of his style as a kid. So he's a great man.
Yeah.
He really knew how to cope with American conditions. Just ignored them. So to speak, I don't know what was in his brain or heart, but he seemed to do pretty well with some of the problems we had in this country. He had for instance, instead of a hotel, which he couldn't stay at in Texas. He had a train car that was more luxurious than any hotel you could get.
Yeah.
Guys could bring guests on there, you know, Johnny Hodges and all that group. Yeah, so they had a real good life.
I remember you telling me once that when you were in Denver, I think you were able to sit in with the great Charlie Parker.
Yeah, we played a few tunes. By that time, he was sleepy, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I heard the concert. It was very good. Stan Kenton was there, and Frank Rossellino, Dizzy Gillespie, too. I saw Dizzy and Bird playing chess at the place they were playing in. So it was a nice experience. I was a college student. Yeah, so I was lucky to meet all these people.
Yeah.
Very great people. Met John Coltrane doing that.
Of course.
You know, everybody came to Denver, but I would have to meet them. Because I was playing at the place that they obliged to come after they finished playing.
And would they give you advice, or would it
Not
just be
really.
a natural? They just
Well,
be
they would
around?
say, "Come to New York."
Did they come to New York?
Yeah, incessantly they would say that. Inevitably, invariably they would say, "Oh, well, you got to come to New York." So I took their advice finally.
When did you feel you were ready to come here?
I don't know whether I felt ready, but we came in 1955, me and a buddy, in my vehicle. And that's when the fumes got me.
Oh, yeah, you told me. Well, we thank you so much. For
Oh, my pleasure, man.
We're happy that you're still in New York.
Oh, good.
And still
I have no
playing.
place to go.
That's all right. And still playing on a great high musical level. And thank you for inspiring all of us musicians for as long as you have, and all of us music lovers.
Well, thank you very much.
We love you very much.
My pleasure, sir.